they have an agent. Ask them if they have an agent, if they have been pre-qualified.
Perfect, perfect. They call you and ask you to see the home, obviously ask them if they have an agent. Second,
Make sure they're pre-qualified. Yeah.
don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Do not show homes if they're not pre-qualified. You get excited, you think, well, I'll get them qualified if I go show them a home. Don't do it. Make sure they're pre-qualified. Third thing,
See if there's any offers on it.
well, wait, don't ever call an agent and ask them if there's any offers until you've shown it,
Oh.
right? Because that's, I mean, obviously if you're asking to see it, you can say, is it still available?
Yeah.
Because you don't wanna go show it and then it not be available, right? But you don't wanna bombard the agent with, is there any offers, if you haven't even shown it, because that's irritating. It's like, you don't even know if you're gonna like it, if your client is gonna like it, and you're asking me if there's any offers. Don't do that yet. Build a rapport with the agent. Always be nice to the listing agent. Always, you know, hey, can I show your listing on? So I'm primarily a listing agent, and what bothers me the most is I'll get a text from these agents and say, can I show your listing at 2:30? Which listing?
Yeah.
I don't know what listing you're talking about, right? So you wanna say what listing it is, and you always wanna send your information. So again, another thing that what your title rep can do for you is they can make you an e-card, a business card that you can just send. You don't, with technology these days, you don't have to send just a picture of business card. There's nothing wrong with that, you can do that, but save your e-card in your phone as a photo, send it. As soon as you ask, send it. Don't make the listing agent have to reach out and say, well, who is this? And are you licensed? And, you know, what do you want? And no, can I show your listing at this time at 2:30? Send a picture. Another thing that you guys should always consider doing is always texting first. Text an agent first. Always text an agent first. Okay? If they don't answer, if they don't reply, then try to call them. But the day and age that we're in, you're going to get a way faster response with the showing. Texting. Now, if you want to find out more information after you've shown the property, there's no harm in calling the agent to talk to them about that stuff. But why are you going to call the listing agent, waste their time, hey, can I show the property, when it's a 2-second text? And you can also keep track better in your text messages who's confirmed and who hasn't. You're making all these phone calls and you're trying to line up 8 showings and you're like, oh, did they say I could go? Did they not say I? No, let's just text them all, get done, and move on, right? So text, send your business card, set up the showing. Go on the showing, and before you go, what should you know about the property? What should you know about the property? Days on market. Why should you know how many days are on the market?
If they are interested.
Say that louder.
Negotiating leverage.
Negotiating leverage. Days on the market mean everything. Okay? So my listing is 539.9. My listing has only been on the market for 3 days. Okay? What else should you do before you show that home? Days on the market, what else? Comps. Why?
See where it's priced.
So, this particular home that I'm listing, they're getting a divorce. And they need it sold right now. They want it sold, they can't stand each other, I'm obviously just giving you guys a story, and they need it sold. Okay, so they need a quick sell. This home is really worth $560, but they wanted it sold yesterday. So we listed it for $539.9. Why is that important to you? Do you think we're gonna get a lot of offers?
Yeah.
Do you think you should set the expectation with the client before even walking in? There's no harm when you're comping it out and you're like, 560. There's no harm in you text me and saying, am I missing something? Why did you list this home so low? Why is this home, is there something wrong with it?
Well, it depends how does the property show?
Right,
How does
well,
the property
my
show?
listings always show great, no.
Okay.
No, but you'll be able to look inside, we're assuming that it shows great.
Oh,
Okay, we're assuming that they put in $15,000 to do some new flooring, new paint,
Alright.
stuff like that. So we put in $15,000, it shows phenomenal. If you look inside and you know that it shows really bad, you wouldn't even text me asking me why it's listed low. You know it listed low because it shows like crap, right? So, but we're assuming that it shows very nice inside. You can't figure out why it's listed so low. There's no harm in asking me, and I'm gonna text you back, I'm gonna say divorce. They're getting a divorce, they need a quick sell. Knowledge is power, right? What are you gonna do with that information? You're gonna take it back to your client, you're gonna say, hey, I'm warning you right now, before you even see this home, that it's listed low because they need a quick sell, they're going through a divorce, there will be multiple offers. Right? You don't want to go, why are you gonna go show a home, waste your time, and then they wanna write at 5:35, are you gonna get the home? Gonna get the home, so you just wasted your time, right? So you have to do your homework. We as agents tend to get lazy because we, we're lead generating, we're trying to get clients, and we're like, do we really wanna sit down and do a CMA? Do we really wanna comp out the property? You have to. And you can't just go to your client and say, hey, this property is worth 560, you need to write at 575. Bring material. If they don't interested in looking at it and they already trust you, throw it in the trash. But bring it and say, hey, I have the comps, this is where we're at. Do you still wanna see this home? There's gonna be multiple offers, do you still wanna see this home? Oh, I wanna see this home, okay, let's go. Then when it gets time to write, you start your negotiating. Remember I told you this home's gonna have multiple offers? Remember I told you that it's worth this much, right? So we're setting the expectation. We're not controlling our clients, we're educating our clients. But with that information, we're not letting them control us, right? Very important. So you start negotiating, right? You guys have all written offers on my property, okay? You guys have received an email from me stating that due to the influx of offers, please submit your highest and best. Please let me know if you'll be sending a higher offer, if you'll be staying where you're at, or if you're taking your offer off the table. Right? What do you do at that point? What do you do with your client at that point? You've written an offer, you've written a good offer. What do you do then? Communicate back with your buyer. What are you going to tell your buyer?
Let them know exactly what the sales agent said, and let them talk and see. I mean, personally, I would let them talk and see where their mind is at, and then, go forward from there.
Okay? Good feedback. Anyone else?
Well, after showing all the comps to your client, and you go back with that information, hey, you know what, there is let's say a multiple offer, situation, so it's by submitting our highest and best, you consider what this home is worth to you and why you think this home will be a perfect fit for you guys. And based on that, you just let them know that they need to make a decision, like an informed decision with, based on the facts that you have already presented to them.
Perfect. So, right there, you have to let them go. If they don't want the home, you have to let them go. Because you don't want to lose your client over a home, right? You can always take them somewhere else. You don't want to come to them and say, you got to write higher, and this is what you got to do, this is where, we can't be that way. Because you don't want them to get into escrow and make buyer's remorse and cancel, right? You want them to really want the home. And you're gonna know where they're at. And there's no risk in saying, let's just leave it on the table. Yeah. Let's not submit anything higher, because you don't know how many offers I have. You don't know how high we're going. So, okay, if you're not comfortable, we're just gonna leave the offer on the table and we're gonna see we're gonna play it out, right? At that point, you're not going to text the agent and say how many offers on the table, because at that point, does it really matter? You already know I have multiple offers. You already know that your income, that doesn't matter, okay? Different scenario. I have a home that's been on the market 72 days. And it's listed for $249,900. First of all, at that listing price, why is that important to know? $249,900, why is that important?
They usually sell a lot quicker.
That number one, there's very few homes at 250 right now, right?
That's true.
Number two, most people qualify in that range in the Antelope Valley, right? 250 to 280. So what do you, okay, so that's important to know. But it's been on the market 72 days.
What's up?
What's up? What's wrong with the house, right? On a side note, when you guys start taking listings, you need to think about that. You don't want to overprice a home and let it sit, because your buyers are all going to look at that home and ask what's wrong with that home, right? So it's been on the market 72 days. Your buyer asked to see it. What should you do first?
Call and see if it's available, still available.
Text,
Text.
and see if it's available. And ask, without insulting, ask the agent. Why has this home been on the market 72 days? What's going on? Like, sometimes there's absolutely nothing wrong with the home. They got into escrow and it fell out the 44th day of escrow and they had to put it back on the market. And it fell out again and they had to put it back on the market. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the seller. Why it fell out, it has to do with the flaky buyer. The second buyer had an emergency, a death in the family. There could be absolutely nothing wrong with the home. And do you understand that even after 72 days, there still could be multiple offers on that property? Right? If it fell out, and they put it back on the market, there could still be multiple offers. If they listed it in November, and we all know November and December were slow months, now it's moving, there could still be multiple offers. Highly unlikely, but it could happen. If the agent just texts back and says, I don't know, it shows really nice inside, it's just not moving, boom. What do you think you can do for your buyer? Underwrite. Underwrite. Right? You want to be the hero for your client, and there's no shame in underwriting whatsoever. Okay? So here's the clue. Oh, and by the way, your buyer needs $7,000 in closing cost credit. Okay? So what does that mean to a seller? If your buyer needs $7,000 in closing costs and it's listed for $249,900, what does that mean to a seller?
That price
Less
has come
money in his
down.
pocket.
I mean,
Less in his pocket.
Right.
Exactly. So obviously we want a win-win situation. We're not representing the seller and we, could really care less what they want, but we have to be reasonable. We have to know, like, we can't write $20,000 down and ask for $7,000 in closing costs because they're probably not gonna take it, right? So when they talk about in this section, it has to be a win-win, I agree, but yet I disagree. It has to be a win for me. And if you like it, then you win too, right? It doesn't have, in my opinion, it doesn't always have to be a win-win exactly, but we wanna get along, we wanna have a good relationship, and I'm gonna write what I think that I can write at, right? I'm gonna comp the area. I comp the area. The home is probably only overpriced about $5,000, nothing more. They just didn't really paint, they really didn't, it doesn't show horrible, but it doesn't show good. Agent was a bad agent, shame on me, I didn't really, do very much marketing. I had too many other listings that were $1 million listings that I forgot about the $249,000 home, and I just didn't do a very good job. So, when you meet with your client and you get ready to write an offer, say you feel like I should write $5,000 under, and I should give them $7,000 in closing costs. Where do you think you should write? If you want to get them $5,000 less for the property, $245,000, right? With $7,000 in closing costs, that makes it $237,000, right? Should you write it $237,000? Why?
That's giving a full price offer.
Well, it's 270, right?
No. So if it's $249,900 and you feel like you want to write $5,000 under, it's $245,000, $244,900, right? And you want to get them $7,000 in closing cost credit. You would write it what? $238,000?
No,
245.
250, 252.
245 after 7, right?
You're writing at $245,000 and you're asking for $7,000, so that's going to give a profit to the seller of how much?
Well, you're making an offer.
$238,000, right? So you're offering at $245,000, correct? But if it's a win-win situation and you're worried about what the seller thinks, he's getting $238,000. Should you write at $245,000 and ask for $7,000 back if that's where you want to be with your buyer?
If the buyer wants 7,000, they need
You
to.
should write less. You should always write less because they're gonna counter you.
Right.
99.9% of the time, they're gonna counter you. So if you know your buyer is gonna take it, he's gonna take the $5,000 less and he's gonna take $7,000 in closing cost credit, write less. So you can end there. That's negotiating the deal, right? There's no negotiation in real estate if you call the agent. People think that this is negotiating. I'm gonna call the agent and say, what do you want me to write at just so I can get it for my client? I'm gonna write wherever you tell me to write. That's not negotiating, and that's not representing your client, that's representing your wallet, Because the only thing you care about is getting paid, right? You're not negotiating anything, right? If you call me and you tell me where should I write, there are so many agents that are BSing you when you text them and you say, how many offers do you have on the table? Do you really know how many offers they have on the table? They probably have 0, and they're probably telling you they have 5. They're probably lying to you anyways, right? You know the 72 days on the market, take the risk. They probably don't have any offers. Now, 3 days on the market, don't take the risk. You know that they probably do have multiple offers, right? Plus, you've already comped the home. You already know that, you know, my $539,000 listing is hot. You already know my $249,000 listing is not hot, right? Come in gangster style and write under.
So what would you write it at?
So I always give myself 3,000 to 5,000 in negotiating. Okay, so I would probably come in at like, how gangster do I want to be? Probably 242 with 7 back. That's what I would ask for. Because they're always going to come back, and you know what they always negotiate with is the closing cost credit. Always. So if my client really needs the full 7 in closing cost credit, I'm not going to put that at risk, right? So I'm going to ask for more than I need in closing cost credit. So if they need, you know, 7,000, I'll say 9. I'll stay at 245, right? And I'll negotiate 9,000 in credit, and I already know they're not going to give me the 9,000. Nobody in their right mind would give 9,000 in closing cost credit. I already know they're going to come back. They're going to come back to me and they're going to say, okay, we're going to give you 6. Well, I wanted to be at 7. So I'm almost there. I can stop there, and we can take it, we can sign it, we can open escrow. But what else can I do? What can I do? What's in the next step to negotiating? Counter back. You know how many times I counter buyer's agents and they never counter me back? Why don't you, nobody counters me back. Like, sometimes I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to play, I'm ready to negotiate, let's do this, and you guys don't counter back. So what? You counter me back and I reject it, then we go back to my counter. There's no loss. I'm not going to fire you because you countered me back. Granted, you do take the risk. If there's another counter, you take that risk. You don't know, right? Again, on a $249,000 property that's been 70 days on the market, you should counter back. So you come back with me and say, I'm going to give you 6,000, and I'm going to come back and say, no, I wanted 7. This is my final counter. Give me my 7,000 for my client. If I say yes, you look like a hero to your client. If I say no, wham, your client has to come in another $1,000. But they know I tried, right? They see that I tried. They see that I negotiated, right? So people don't understand that everything in real estate is negotiable. And that's so important. You have to show your client that you are working for them, that you're negotiating. And I don't only negotiate my offer and my counters. I negotiate my client's home inspection fee. I negotiate my client's termite fee. I negotiate my NHD fee. When you start getting enough business, you get to do that. I just gave you 75 deals last year. Can you give me a break? Can you take your inspections from 125 to 80? Maybe that doesn't seem like a big deal, but every 25 bucks on a closing statement adds up, and I tell my client, look, this would be normally 125, but since I am so well known in the Antelope Valley, I'm getting you this for 80 bucks, right? You are setting the expectations. You are letting them know you can be trusted. Yes.
How do you get those inspections cheaper?
By giving them, you're loyal. Number one, agents are the most disloyal people overall.
Who's giving you that discount? Who, the person doing the inspection? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So you're asking them.
Yeah,
to-
and
okay.
so here's what you should always understand. If you're really looking in the best interest for your client and you want the best deal, obviously if you're on a team, you don't really have a say-so over this. It doesn't really, that's your team leader. But if you are giving a lot of business to the same vendor, don't be afraid to ask, right?
Yeah.
So I just look back and I say, okay, my title rep, I just gave him 12 deals this year. I'm gonna go tell him he needs to make me these for free. He needs to make me these buyer and seller guides for free, because I just gave him 12 deals. You understand that these people would not stay in business if they didn't have us, right? So, a lot of times in your business, you should be loyal. Be loyal to your lender, be loyal to your title rep, be loyal to your escrow officer. Use the same ones. A lot of agents get in their idea, if you make one mistake and you don't perform, you're fired. You can't do that, because number one, we all are human, we all make mistakes. And now, if your lender keeps making a mistake okay, gone, right? If your title rep doesn't answer the phone over and over again, gone. But one slip up, if they've done, 9 awesome deals and one is delayed by 2 days, should you fire them? No, because you don't know the situation, you don't know what they're dealing with. Cut some slack, right? Have a little bit of grace, have a little bit of mercy. You try to stick with the same people, because after I've had my lender and given him 20 deals, hey, can you pay for some postcards for me? Because I just gave you 20 deals, where's the love? Like, they can't give me money, but they can give me, postcards and different things, right? So stay loyal to your people. So my home inspector, after I've given him a certain amount of deals, hey, you've been charging me $350. I want you to only charge me $325 for all my clients from now on. Take it or leave it. He's stupid to leave it, because he knows. You don't ever go to a home inspector, you've given him one deal and you say, hey, you can't do that, right? Because you have to earn that favor. So negotiate your home inspector, negotiate your termite, anything that you can negotiate on their behalf, right? Okay, so the hardest part's over. You've gotten your offer accepted, you're in escrow, and you guys get your home inspection. You thought the hardest part was writing the offer. Is that the hardest part?
No.
What's the hardest part?
Negotiating deal.
Request for repairs. Request for repairs. How do you set that expectation? Do you set that expectation with your buyer at the home inspection?
No.
When do you set that expectation?
Consultation.
In the consultation. Okay, so we're gonna role play. And who wants to be volunteers? I need 2. Come on.
Alright.
Brandon and Hannah. Come on. Come on to the front. You do great.
What do I say?
Okay, so do you want to be the thrower or the receiver? You be the listing agent? Or you're going to be the buyer's agent?
Oh, no.
You want to be the listing agent? Okay, so Hannah's the listing agent, Brandon is the buyer's agent, okay? And, actually what we're going to role play first is you're going to be the client. Or do you want to be the agent?
I'll be the client.
You're going to be the client, you're the agent. And you are in your buyer's consultation and you are going over the contract. You're going over your consultation with them. And you've already discussed everything, and now you're at the point where you're talking about when we write an offer, we're gonna get it to a point in the offer where it discusses repairs. Take it from there.
Okay, so first things first, after we get the offer accepted, we can get our home inspection. We don't have to get the home inspection, but on our part, to do our due diligence on the property, we need to see what we're getting into. So I have a couple of vendors that I use, that we can check to see what's up with the property. And if you find something on the property that causes a red flag, we can go ahead and write up what's called a request for repair. Now, we like to be very selective what we put on this request, because it states on the title on the paper, it's a request. They don't have to do anything on this, so we want to do anything that's going to be health and safety or major things that's going to cause it not to fund. So let's
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt right there. If you guys are taking notes, the most important thing that you should walk away from today is what he just said. Did you guys get that?
Health and safety.
Now, I'm gonna add to him what he says. Functioning, right? And safety. Health kind of falls into safety, right? Functioning and safety. No cosmetic.
Right.
no cosmetics. Set that, exactly what he said is exactly what you should know. You set that expectation. They don't have to fix anything. It's a request for repair, okay? Functioning items and safety, and you gotta be hard on him. Continue.
So, we're gonna walk through the house. Sure, you're gonna have, no home is perfect. You're gonna find things that you're gonna want fixed. There's gonna be no closet doors. Sure, it's gonna hurt your wallet at the end, but we can't ask for things just because it doesn't look pretty. We need to ask for the things that the appraiser might call out for the loan not to get funded, right? So these things need to be the utmost importance so we can come up with a big list here, but we need to narrow it down to the top couple, 5 things that are gonna be on your importance list. So you understand that, right? Does that make sense?
Kind of, but I just like if I'm buying a house, there should be closet doors.
Right, so are closet doors the most important thing to you in the house?
It depends. I just feel
Right.
like if I'm gonna override on a property, maybe it should just, everything should be fixed.
Right, everything, okay. So, come to you, what kind, you know where the seller.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you. She bought this home.
Right,
She bought my listing. She
Right.
got this home. She wrote at 245, and she got 7,000 in closing cost credit, and it was listed at 249.
right.
So you didn't overwrite, dear.
Okay,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Continue. So that right there. Remember that when we get to the next role playing. So address her question.
Okay, so you want the closet doors,
Mhm.
but you're aware that we actually already got the closing costs. So the seller's already coming negative here.
Mhm.
Now, put yourself in the seller's shoes. The buyer is already asking more money, and now you're gonna come in and ask them for, we're gonna nitpick the property for nickel and dime in. How's that gonna make you feel? When you already gave the buyer $7,000, when you already got $7,000 to the buyer, how's that gonna make you feel?
I'll feel okay.
Yeah. No, as the seller, if they're gonna, the buyer comes in, you're already giving them more money.
Mhm.
How's it gonna make you feel if they keep asking for more things? It's gonna make you kind of offended, right?
Okay.
So that's gonna decrease your likelihood to get anything done on the request for repair. So we wanna get it the highest degree of likelihood that they're gonna follow through and do the things,
But
right?
if they don't just do what I want, I can just cancel, right?
Sure, we can cancel, but we already got these, we already got your closing costs, and as you can see, how many other properties are on the market that you would like. We've been looking for 6 months.
Right.
So do you wanna go back to the drawing board? You might get unmotivated and not wanna do it at all until you start renting. We don't want that, right?
I guess.
Okay, so what he just said right there. You want to go back to the drawing board?
Right.
So sometimes, like with her being the difficult client that she is, sometimes you have to, if they threaten, you have to release. Does that make sense? Like, okay, if that's what you want to do, we'll do that. We'll go find you another property. But just know that that property is going to have its own set of requests for repairs too. And it's going to have its own set of problems. But if that's what you want to do, we can do that. And then you know what they're going to, no. Because
Right.
you played into their game, right? Oh, if that's what you want to do, but if you're sitting here, no, I'm not giving you what you want. No, you can't do that. You can't. Yes, I can, right? Like I can
They're
cancel.
Yeah.
They're gonna leave you if you keep saying
Yeah, and that's a threat. Like she's underlying, like acting like she's all innocent. Like I can cancel, right? She's not doing that out of innocence. She's letting you know I'm still the client. I'm still in control, and I'm going to do what I want to do. Yes.
If the buyer cancels, couldn't she lose her EMD as well?
No. Not if it's within her contingency period.
17 days.
Yeah.
I would say also, like, you know, I mean, this is obviously not a brand new house at 250, right? It's not a brand new house. So during that time of negotiations, you may wanna just remind that you're not purchasing a brand new house. There's gonna be, some type of cosmetics that, you know, painting, maybe new carpet or closet doors. You know, you might just wanna keep that in mind because the next property at 250 or within your price range, it may have those same issues or maybe different issues. Just know that you're not buying a brand new house. So more than likely, there's gonna be those repairs, those, you know, type of cosmetic repairs.
Okay.
So just look forward to that.
Perfect point. But also take a step back. If you did what you did in your buyer's consultation the right way, do you think you would be there right now?
Mm.
No. So
remember when we said this?
Exactly, you have to remind. You, remember we talked about this, remember I told you, now if you failed to talk about it, then you deserve to, sweat it out, right?
Yeah.
You deserve what you're getting right now because you didn't set the expectations back then. Now, sometimes you set the expectations and you just have a very difficult client, but that's few and far between, right? So if you set your expectations at the beginning and then you're here at this point now, remember we talked about this, remember?
You know,
Yes,
sometimes we also let the customer know that as you're paying your set of closing costs, like, you know, when they're asking for a lot, you gotta keep in mind that apart from, you know, getting a deal or already getting like a $7,000 discount, they have to pay also for the closing costs, and that means that they're putting, you know, less money in their pocket. Like, you know, going along the lines where you said, you know, how would you feel being on the, you know, the client's or the seller's shoes?
and it's kind of hard to say that because we know how that feels because we've all maybe sold a home or we've represented a seller, but as a buyer, I don't care how the
Yeah.
seller feels. I don't care, like, so?
Yeah.
They're lucky I'm buying their house,
Yeah.
right? They're lucky they have a buyer, like, that's, and I even get like that as an agent sometimes, right? I'm representing the buyer and you're gonna get, as a listing agent, you're gonna get ugly with me? Well, without me, you wouldn't have a buyer, right? But that's not negotiating. You had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when I'm in that position, like, that's my client, the buyer, right? So I don't care how the seller feels.
Exactly.
Like, so what if they get offended?
Right.
My job is to get you the best possible deal, and this is the fun part, like you said, like the negotiation. So if assuming there's not a ton of other repairs, and like the closet doors are one of the only things that, hell yeah, I'm gonna ask for some.
Of
closet doors.
course, and we were getting there, and that's an excellent point. If there's nothing else wrong, exactly what he said, but in this situation, there's a lot of things wrong that are health issues and safety issues and functioning issues. So are we gonna lose a deal over closet doors? Sometimes if I'm representing a $539,000 buyer and they're really adamant about those closet doors, I might just give them those closet doors as a closing gift, right? Because I'm not gonna lose a deal over closet doors,
Even
right?
at $250, cause I'm not gonna show
Right.
houses.
Right.
So we'll ask for the closet doors. If they don't give them to you, I'll get them for you.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
right,
not
how
showing
much
you
are
the
they?
box.
Let's talk about this,
Right.
right? How about I give you a Lowe's gift card when we close, and
Right.
you can go get your own closet door.
Right.
But we don't wanna bend over so quickly either with the buyers, cause we are working hard and we deserve to get paid, right? But this is the part where most agents are afraid to negotiate. And this is why this class is negotiating a deal. Don't be afraid to negotiate on your client's behalf.
You know, for that matter, obviously, if, you know, you keep in mind that you're working for your client. So yeah, I agree, you know, regardless, you know, sometimes you don't care, you know, what the seller feels. So if they wanna put a list, because the worst, you know, talking about negotiating, the worst that the seller can do is counter and say no.
Right.
But
So,
at least, you know, you know, or your client knows
Right.
that you're trying
tried.
hard for
Right.
them. So we have, you know, we sold the house like back in November right here in West Palmo. And kind of like the same situation, the house had like, you know, important stuff that you needed to ask for and repairs. And then there was a list, there was like minor stuff. But after going back and forth with the client, he was like, no, but I still want to ask for everything.
then you do
Sure
it.
did.
Send it.
Then you do
And
it.
guess what?
Got it. They
Yeah,
did it.
got it.
Mhm. And here's okay, so with her, on a situation, you're gonna explain your situation. She set up her expectation with the buyer from the beginning. And then she went to the home, and how many did you send? 12 requests for repairs on that deal? And we ended up having to, the one that we ended up having to go, they canceled because it just would not work. And do your request for repairs, and they were really,
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
Okay.
about.
so, do you wanna explain?
Okay, so basically, it was an older home, it was a 50s kind of home, and I didn't know this about those kind of properties, but they're on a raised foundation, there was just a lot wrong by the time we got to the home inspection. And at the home inspection, my home inspector's really good about not freaking out my clients, not scaring them, just kind of laying it all flat, and he'll leave that for me to do. The minute we got there and he mentioned anything, yeah, you know, I just noticed, you know, some of these outlets, they're two-prong, and, you know, change that, or yeah,
They weren't grounded.
and they're not grounded. So immediately, just a look on her face, I knew. I was like, it's over. I just knew, but I wasn't gonna say anything, and she had her family with her, and so after they left, I was like, so what do you wanna talk about? And she's like, I'm just really feeling uncomfortable. I don't feel good. I just don't feel good about it. And I said, okay, well, you're still within your contingency days. So do you want to wait? Because I was like, you already have to pay for the home inspection. It's done. That's, $300. So we can wait for your home inspection, and then we'll go over what's actually on there. Because he didn't cover everything, and so see what we're working with. And we can always just ask and see what happens. Maybe they'll fix everything. So it came back. The home inspection ended up being really, really a lot. And all the repairs were going to be expensive. So it was a lot of electrical wiring issues, a lot of grounding issues, stuff that just would require, honestly, some heavy construction. So she was just adamant. I pretty much knew immediately she was going to want to cancel, because even though I tried to ease her mind about things, even though I have a contractor who can go do those things for you and give you a really good deal, or whatever, just not feeling good. She didn't want the house. It was super clear. So we still sent everything. We sent everything over. We didn't narrow anything down. We just sent it completely over. She was adamant she was not going to send anything. So we sent it over, and they didn't want to fix any of it. So even the little things, like I think there was a leak underneath the sink or something like that, it was shut down on everything.
So they didn't want to negotiate. You understand? That side didn't want. What do you do if you're trying to negotiate and that side doesn't want to negotiate? Your best interest, your interest is in your client, right? They didn't want to play ball. You threw the pitch, they didn't want to swing. So what do you do at that point? She already knew that she was nervous, so she didn't sit and do what Brandon just did to her. Look, remember I told you that we couldn't ask for a lot, and remember I told you that we need to, do the most important. She didn't do that at that point, because you have to be able to read your client. You don't want to break the trust with your client, and you might lose that escrow, but you won't lose the client. And the gentleman in the back said he doesn't want to have to go show homes again. None of us want to go show homes again. But we don't want to lose a client. We'd rather go show homes again and keep that client than to lose that client. And she knew at that point she really didn't want the home. But she went ahead and showed her, look, you can trust me. I'm going to send all of these requests over, and we're going to see what they say. They were so stubborn, they didn't even want to fix one thing. And they never said at the beginning, look, you're buying it as is. They didn't want to do anything. So at that point, we cancel, right? Because they didn't want to negotiate, okay? And so you guys can stop thinking. So for the role playing, you have your client and the agent. You've established requests for repairs. Now, who wants to role play agent to agent talking about the repairs? Negotiating. You want to give it a shot?
No.
Eric?
No.
How about you and the gentleman in the back? You guys come, and you're the listing agent, you're the buyer's agent.
I'll do it.
Come on, you can do it.
Oh!
Oh, Gloria, let's go.
Oh, yeah, this is good.
I think we've actually done this before.
He flipped his hat back.
He put his hat back, he rolled up his sleeve.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
think we call
We
it
did
that
this
way.
before.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, so you're the listing agent,
Yes.
and you're the buyer's agent,
Yes, as always.
and here's the deal.
That was the position
You-
we were in.
You wrote, the property was listed for $260,
Okay.
and he gave you an offer at $272 with 5 back.
Wait a minute.
She's the
I did
listing
what?
agent.
I'm the listing agent?
This doesn't sound like him.
You're the buyer's agent. She's the buyer's agent.
Okay.
She gave you had a property listed at $260.
Uh-huh.
You had multiple offers. She
Okay.
sent in an offer at $272 and asked for only
Where did
5
you
back.
get that?
5 back. She got 5 back. $272 with 5 back. And it
Okay.
was listed at $260.
Okay. So really, you gave me an offer at 267.
Right. And you got your home inspection, and there's a lot of things wrong with the property.
Yeah, it was a room without permits. The appraisal called it off because it was a safety issue.
Wait, are you talking about our deal or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's not get to appraisal call-outs yet, because she wants to be hard on you.
Okay.
Appraisal
wrong?
call-outs, you know when they want to get to appraisal call-outs, because when it's all said and done, if everybody wants the deal to work, we already know that appraisal and lender call-outs We're gonna do them. Everybody gonna do them, whether we have to pay for them out of our own pocket or not. Well, he,
Depends, whatever.
well,
offers I have.
most of the time. So let's just stick with, we're not to the appraiser call-outs yet. We are to, there's functioning issues, the kitchen faucet doesn't even turn on, water doesn't even come out. You know, we've got, you found mold in the bathroom. We found some big issues.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so here is my request for repairs.
So 12 requests for repair.
12 items on the request for repairs. Okay, so she's emailing it to me? Okay, are you calling, she's calling to tell me she emailed it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
let's do it.
Aaron.
Hello.
I just, so this is yours together regarding the property, the escrow that we have together on 123 Main Street.
Yes,
Just to confirm that you got my request for repair.
I did, I haven't opened it yet though, but I did see the email came through.
Okay, yes, I attached the home inspection as well,
Okay.
so let me know when you planning to go over with these repairs with your seller.
Okay, let me ask you this, because remember we have multiple offers, so are these items are these make or break items for your clients?
Can be.
Okay, interrupt. Why did he do what he just said? Why did he just say that?
So he knows what he can do or
Yeah,
not
it's
do.
he's negotiating.
Okay, if you wanna play hardball, I have backup offers. We can always go pull a backup offer. He's being in control.
I
Yes.
would have started the conversation, hey, you know, after you say, no, this is the deal
Wait,
that
we're
we have
role
to
playing,
get.
you gotta wait, say that for the end, let us work,
Okay,
Yeah.
let us work.
No, but you guys gotta listen. You gotta take note.
Take note.
So role playing is not just to listen, let somebody talk and see how they do. You're getting, then there's role playing, you're looking for gold nuggets.
Alright.
That's the whole point of role playing. You're looking for a gold nugget in an experienced agent that you can walk away with. He just said, well, okay, let's back up. You just remember, okay, we had multiple offer, boom. Why?
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. You start the conversation by saying, hey, the deal that we have together, the property that we are, offering like $12,000 more. So I would have started that conversation.
You could have
that way.
started being in control before you allowed him to be in control, is what you're
It's
Try
like-
saying.
it, you wanna rewind and try that?
The thing is, I am a passive active.
Okay, continue. So we had the multiple
Now, little
offers.
by little, she smothered you like one of those.
She's like a cat. So continue.
Okay,
We had the
so-
multiple offers, continue.
So, what did I just say? Oh, so are these make or break items for your client, because we did have the multiple offers?
Yes, I can hear you that, and, yes, can be.
Okay,
So,
okay,
let me know.
perfect. All right, well, I'll open it up, I'll run it by my seller, they were already adamant about like not doing any repairs, but I'll run it by them and see what they say.
Okay, please.
Why did he say that? Why did he say that right now?
To not
My
lose the
sellers are
buyer.
really adamant about no repairs. Why did he say that?
To not lose the buyer.
So that's a give, want to give hope.
No. So at the beginning of this class, what did I say? Before negotiating a deal, you're setting the expectation. So he's now negotiating with her. You cannot negotiate anything without setting an expectation for, my sellers don't really want to do their repair, so don't be surprised if I come back and say no. Then you go to your buyer and say, hey, we sent the request for repairs, it doesn't look that great, but you know, fingers crossed. He's saying that his seller doesn't really want to fix any. He may come back and say no. He set the expectation, you set the expectation. She sent 12, if he comes back with 6, and you go to your buyer and say, hey, look, they didn't want to fix any, but I got you 6. That sounds a lot. So I negotiate with my husband all the time, right? If I go and buy a dress that was really $60 and I got it for 40, I don't go to my husband and say, hey, I got a dress for $40. No, I say, I got this dress, it was $60, but I got it on sale for 40. It sounds good, it was only 40, right? But in his head, it's like, it was really 60, but I got it for 40.
You're saving money.
I just saved money. You didn't really save your money, but that's my negotiating skills, right?
Wasted less.
So he set the expectation. My seller doesn't really want to fix anything. And, you know, if it were me, I would go ahead and agree to getting all these done, but I'm not the seller. I just represent the seller, right? He's setting the expectation, so she can go set the expectation. Continue.
Okay, so now I'm going back to my seller, right?
I'm the seller.
You're the seller, all right, seller, I don't even know your name, this is
I'm
terrible.
Antonette.
Antonette, remember that, don't say that. Remember that request for repairs that I told you was probably gonna come from these buyers?
So he set the expectation
So remember.
with the seller. When he went, after you did the listing appointment, or maybe during
Wait,
listing
let me do
appointment.
that better. Can I do that better?
Yeah, do it.
Can I do that better? Okay,
But,
so,
so just know that you and I
Yeah.
met at the listing appointment, you interviewed with 5, you beat all 5, 4, and of course, and I picked you because you knew what you were doing, you were experienced,
right,
I trusted you, right?
yeah,
Set the expectation, he came back to sign disclosures with me before we even opened escrow, you don't wait to do that. And then when we were doing that nonchalantly, as we're filling out disclosures, he's telling me, hey, they're probably gonna get an offer where they're asking for closing costs, because that's common now. And they're probably gonna ask for a request for repair. I'm walking through your home right now and I see there's a little mold over there. If you could clean it up now, that'd be great. If you wanna wait till we get an escrow, they're probably gonna call that out. Oh, and that broken, light switch that the light doesn't even turn on. I'm just letting you know that that's something that might come up, okay? So you've already done your homework, and you've already set the expectations for me. Now you're coming to me with the request for repair.
right.
What are you gonna say to me?
So, remember at the listing appointment, when I told you how much I love to negotiate, this is the fun part for me, but that there's 3 points in this process where I'm gonna maximize your equity, where we're gonna have to protect the amount of money you're gonna make. So one was setting the listing price, we did
Right.
a great job at that.
Yes, you
and
did.
that's how we got multiple offers.
Yes,
Right, so the second part was in accepting an offer, negotiating an offer, right? So we ended up
Yes.
getting you a net of $7,000 more with this higher offer.
yes, I appreciate that.
Right, so we're now at that third point. So
But
here's
remember,
that
I told
request
you
for
that we
repair.
had so many offers that everybody wants my house, so I didn't really want to have to fix anything.
Well, absolutely, and I'm on the same page with you, and I agree with you. But unfortunately, just like this buyer is asking, any buyer who purchases your house is gonna come in here, they're gonna see the same things, and they're probably gonna ask
Boom.
for the same exact repair.
So do you really wanna start all over? Do you still wanna go into escrow again? Because that mold's still gonna be in that bathroom with the next buyer, right?
Right.
Do you-
Right.
So we have an opportunity now to kind of respond to this request for repair. I'm gonna send you over the 12 items so you can see exactly what they are. Look at it, give it some thought, and then get back to me on which ones you're willing to do or what direction you would like to go.
Do I get to see the home inspection?
Yes, it'll be attached.
Okay,
And
all
if you
right.
have any questions or you want me to run through it, if you want, I can come by and we can go through it as well. But you seem pretty sharp with the other thing, I can just send it over to you just so you can run through it.
So if they're asking for 12, which one should I agree to and which one should I not agree to? I mean, obviously I trust you, I hired you.
Right, I would say, especially the mold, getting that remedy, that's very important, because that's a health issue. Anybody's gonna ask for that.
Yeah.
And then what order should I go in after that?
Maybe the faucet and things like that. But I would say this, we have other offers, so we'll keep that in mind as well. It's up to you. I want you to look at it first and then get back to me.
Okay.
Tell me what you feel like.
Now, the reason you wanna do that is you have to give a client a chance to absorb, right? It's like shock, like in anything that you do, even offers sometimes, like you'll sit down with your client, you're ready to present offers and they're not what they want, and you wanna just keep talking and you wanna like keep pushing and you want, give them a chance to absorb what, so he wants to get me off the phone, he wants to let me accept this traumatic event, because I didn't want to pay for anything, right? And let me think about it, let me calm down, let me look, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, right? So I look at all these repairs, okay? Then I call him back. What was your name?
Aaron.
Aaron, so I see this list for repairs and man, it's a lot, like 12 items?
Yeah, I know.
And I don't even know how to fix half of this stuff, like, and I don't care that the plate on the outlet's broken, I'm not doing that. So just so you know, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to, but that's just on there. To be honest, if I was the buyer's agent, I would tell him to ask for
I didn't
everything.
put that, I never put that cover plate. I
No,
put it myself.
I would do the same thing. I would say ask for the world and see what they come back with. So they're just asking for the world.
But I
So
understand
something
some
like
of this
that.
is probably, I'm not gonna have a way out of it, but the other stuff, I don't wanna do, so I'm gonna do like the 7 things and I'm not doing the rest. And the 7 things, like how do I even fix that stuff? Like I don't know how to get rid of mold and fix my light that doesn't work. If I knew how to do that, I would have done it before.
Well, that's good thing you hired me. I'll handle all of that for you, get everybody lined up, as the contractors and things like that.
Perfect.
Don't worry about that, just let me know what you're willing to fix.
Oh,
and
that's
I'll take
such
care
a
of the rest.
relief. Oh, I'm so worried. I don't know what to do. 99% of the time, a seller gets scared over repairs, not because they don't want to pay for it. That's not usually the problem, okay? Now, my other issue is I don't have any money.
Well,
How do I get all this fixed? Like, I don't have any money right now. I'll have money in the proceeds, but I don't have any money
no,
right now.
I'll find some contractors that'll bill escrow.
You can call American Construction, he can charge you
Okay.
escrow.
So, resources, yeah, resources, right?
Yes.
American Legal
Commercial,
Construction.
a little commercial break right
Legal.
there.
Yeah, building relationships is key in real estate, right? Exactly what he said. You're building relationships. You have a contractor in your pocket that you know is gonna bill escrow. Now, if you burn that contractor and your escrow falls out and you don't get it back in escrow and your contractor don't get paid, I trust me, he'll never bill escrow for you again, right? And any smart contractor is gonna make sure that the home shows nice, it's gonna make sure that you're getting, there's a lot of things that go into that. But, okay, so you're saying that I don't have to pay anything until the home closes? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'll find the contractor that'll bill escrow for you.
Oh, what a relief. Okay, well, I still only wanna do 7 because I needed that 30,000 to put on the other house, so, I only have like this much money, so I'm not gonna do all 12, I'm just gonna do 7.
Well, remember, we're getting an extra 7,000 too, but we'll be fine.
Oh,
Take care of
thank
the
you,
rest.
okay, so
All
now
right, so
call her.
I'm gonna do my favorite part. Remember, I told you this is my favorite
Yes.
part. So I'll give you a call back, okay? Let me see if the buyer's agent is okay with it, and then I'll update you.
So you don't mind doing this? You don't mind negotiating this for me?
No, not at all.
All right,
All
okay,
right.
thank
So
you.
give me. I'll update you a little later on.
Sounds great,
All right.
thank you.
Your phone's ringing.
Hi,
Hey.
Aaron, I was expecting your call.
Yes. I just wanted to call and give you a quick update. I'm still waiting to hear from my seller. She hasn't called me back yet. She was pretty upset when I sent her over the request for repairs.
No,
So
why
I
did you
just-
say that?
I just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm gonna call you. She's talking about canceling and pick another offer. So I'm trying to settle her down right now, but I needed to give her a little bit of time. Is that okay with you?
No, that's okay, yeah, we have that in mind, and my clients know that they have the right to proceed with this escrow, and the possibility if the seller doesn't wanna do whatever they want, and they feel that it's a must in the property, yeah, they have the choice, so don't worry, we are cool.
I told her to sleep on it, so I'll call you tomorrow. Okay, it's tomorrow now. Ring, ring.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey, I had, you wouldn't believe this conversation.
I didn't sleep all night, I couldn't sleep all night.
So, I understand there's a lot, your client saw the home when they walked through there. She's willing to fix this mold issue, and that's it.
Okay, let me go back to my buyers, because I think it's more than that they really are concerned with the home, because it's a lot of safety issues that I put on the request for repairs. So let me talk to them.
Okay, get back to me. Hey, do you think I should start calling these other offers and make sure they're still?
I think that's your job, to always protect the seller, so do your diligence.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, why did he say, I agreed to 7, why did he only say 1?
Because she wants to impress you.
He's not showing all of his cards right up front, okay? Now, another thing you have to remember, they're being very professional, even though they're jabbing and because guess what? 3 months down the road, he might have, it might be reverse role, right? He might be the buyer's agent, and he might want something on her property, and he's gonna look and say, I don't want her offer, she asked for 17 requests for repairs, I'm not gonna do that, right? So you wanna keep a good relationship. As a new agent, when I went in, I didn't get this kind of training. I didn't get people, especially right before the crash, everybody had these secrets and nobody wanted to share them and nobody would tell anybody anything, and so I had to learn the hard way, right? So I was like hard, like I want these 17 request repairs, and if you don't give them to me, I'm gonna cancel. And I held my ground. Well then, a couple months later, I see this agent's listing and my buyer wants to say, I'm like, oh God, I don't wanna show this listing, you know, because now we're gonna get into an escrow again. So you have to always remember that. And sometimes, as a listing agent, we're like, you know, we're the listing agent, and we got this. But the role will reverse, and you will be the buyer's agent, and you're gonna be writing the request for repair on her property, right? So we wanna be nice, we wanna be professional, we want a win-win deal, so that we can get into the next escrow. And we wanna be besties after that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, he came saying one.
Uh-huh.
She is gonna go talk to her buyer. Take a break.
It's not fair because she heard our conversation.
Right, but take a break, because if you guys are on the phone and no, I want this, no, I want this, no, this is what I said, go take a break. Go talk to your buyers.
Yes.
You went and talk to your buyers, go back to him.
Okay, yeah, I know that you already discussed this with your seller, and I have a conversation with my buyer, and they are settled on that the request for repairs is really important for them, so I think we don't have a choice but to cancel. So I don't know if you wanna let your seller know that the buyer is really canceling. Maybe they can do a little bit more. I can make my buyers agree to settle for less, but these other items that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they are the mass.
Okay.
So she just relinquished. She originally asked for 12, and now she's only asking for 8. She's not being difficult. And maybe when she went to her buyers, they only asked for 6 things, and she's telling him 8. Right?
We'll never know.
Do me a favor and send the cancellation over ASAP because we want to jump into escrow with one of these other offers as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah, let me talk to my buyer and let him know the position of the seller, yes.
All right, I'm gonna make a contingency active back on the market.
Okay, fair enough.
So you go to your buyer, you tell your buyer that you
Yeah.
have to cancel, then what?
Yeah, I told my buyer.
Let's
that
save
I
the
have
deal,
to
people,
cancel.
let's save the deal. Go to the buyer, now what?
Hi, Mr. Juvenal, how I explained you before, the seller has the right to choose if they wanna do the repairs or not, because according to the contract, the property is sold as it is. You always have the right to make a request for repair, but the seller doesn't have the obligation to do anything. And at this point, I see that the items that you are asking for are really important things for you. If you are not able to handle the repairs, I will say let's move to another property and let's pay more attention when we see the property before we put an offer, so we don't find ourselves on the same situation like right now.
Okay, I disagree a little bit with you, Gloria, a little bit. Let me tell you why. If you bought the home for $245 and it was listed for $249, and okay, let me
Let
say.
me tell you this because the way that the offer is being set up, I don't see that seller giving anything to my buyer. I see that my buyers are financing for the closing costs because they put it on top of the purchase price.
Right, but
So I don't
here's
see
the reason I only.
anything giving back from my buyers.
Right. Well, and your heart is to your buyer, and I respect that, and I understand that. But the only part I disagree with is I feel like you should always bring contribution, right, to the table. So I wouldn't go to my buyer and say, look, I know these repairs are important to you. It looks like we're gonna have to cancel. I wouldn't do that. I would bring resources to the table, right? And I would say, look, with this mold, we're not bending on that. We have to do that. This, we have to do this, we have to do. But these 2 things, you know that my husband's in construction, and as a favor to me, he could
We
probably.
already went that on the previous conversation. That's why we set up with 8 items
Okay,
and
okay.
not with the 12. Because
Okay.
my husband is doing the other 4.
Okay,
And the other items is hard for.
You just told me you wanted.
When we talk about mold,
no, she said 8.
8.
She came me back with you at 8.
So when we
He's
talk
like,
about
"Let's
mold,
save the deal."
we just see the face of the mold. We don't see what is behind. So it can be a big issue behind that wall.
That's true.
So-
So she
We're
did
taking
bend.
care of that though. We're taking care of them all.
You said none.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
said
he
we'll
said
take care of
one.
the
He said
mold
one,
and
the
that's
mold.
it. The
Yeah.
mold and that's it.
Okay, so you're gonna call him back now and you're gonna say, look, I'm sending over the cancellation.
Yes.
Call him. So no, say, I sent the cancellation, did you get it?
Wait, can I ask something?
Yes.
Okay, so couldn't it be where
I thought you said
you could
all
go
the
back to your
items.
No, she
buyers?
said
No,
8.
8.
Oh.
I want to hear the conversation between you when he tells you to cancel. 'Cause
Right, oh, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Couldn't it
And I've been closing deals when I see the cancellation and the buyer, the listing agent called me back and said, you know, we're gonna do this. So.
Okay, so let me stop here. We're
But I
gonna
have
get,
to rewind too, because I would have made sure my other offers were still in place first.
okay, it goes without saying, we know that. But let me tell you, one of my first years in real estate, I made a big mistake, okay? Because it was not win-win with me, it was me win, right? And so I told the buyer's agent, send over the cancellation. I don't care. Like, and thinking that they wouldn't cancel. Guess what happened? They canceled. And I never told my seller, hey, I'm playing hardball. I'm gonna tell them that if they don't want the repairs fixed, that I should have went to the seller and said, okay, this is our choice. They're adamant about getting these requests for repairs done. If we don't do them, they're going to cancel.
No.
Are you okay with canceling? No. If she says yes, then I'm gonna go say, send over the cancellation. I never consulted with my seller.
Yeah.
I never asked my seller if they were okay with canceling.
And especially, he's me representing the seller because the seller agreed with 7 and he
Right,
just
that's what I-
1.
Right.
I thought you said all when you
No,
called me back.
okay.
I thought you
Wait,
said
so
all.
I have a question about that.
Basically, the deal
So
fell
if,
through because of the communication.
if you as a
Yeah.
if you as a
Way to go.
seller find fixing seven
Seven.
things,
Good job, Aaron.
and he,
Because he thought she said all
right,
instead of
no,
eight.
but not even mentioning that though, so if he didn't tell you, hey, I'm not even gonna mention that you said you would be okay with fixing seven, because maybe if he had just said, hey, actually, well, she said she'll fix 7 and that's it, or maybe even like 5.
Well, there's
but
scenarios which he would do that, but he knows Gloria and he knows that she's stubborn, so he had to start with less.
I
with
also
her.
know I have leverage. That's when you negotiate, you have to know if you have leverage or not. If
Each
we're on the
agent's
market
different.
for 3 months and this is the one offer I got, it would have been a
But he has
completely
multiple
different
backup
conversation.
offers. He
I
knows
would-
he's in a good position, and he knows that she's very stubborn. So he's not gonna go to her and say, I'm gonna do 7 of your requests for repairs, and she's like, no, actually, I want the 12.
To be honest, I don't care who it is. I don't care who the other agent is. If my seller says I will fix 7, I'm gonna say, okay, the mold, that makes sense. If that's the biggest thing, and maybe the faucet in the kitchen. to make
That's
sure
right,
it's
okay, can I
fine.
just,
So as my client, I do this all the time, if my client says, oh, I'll fix 7 things, and then I have this conversation, I negotiate on behalf of my client, and I call my seller back and I say, you know what, we don't even have to worry about all the 7 you were gonna do, we're gonna just, all we gotta do is the mold, the faucet, and one other thing, and we're good.
He's a hero.
exactly, so that's what I would say, okay? I would say, go back to my seller and say, look, out of all the repairs that they're asking for, only 4 of them are safety
Right.
issues. The others are cosmetic. Would you agree to fix at least the
Well, I already agreed to 7.
Okay, exactly, but he's still trying to,
But he doesn't need to tell me really, as the seller, he doesn't need, I've hired him, I trusted him to work on my behalf, I've trusted him to negotiate on my
or even for
behalf.
her to go and say that to her client, hey, look, everything that you asked for, okay, these are
On
the ones
her.
that are really, so can we narrow
Exactly.
it down to this 4, so that we don't,
Right.
unless you're willing to walk away from it, do you really want this house?
And the problem is when you're role playing, every situation is different, you have to understand that, right? Agents are different, buyers, everybody's different. But for this particular thing, you also have to understand where she's coming from. She overwrote on a property. Yeah, granted, he has multiple backup offers, but backup offers, those people could have already went and bought another home already, right? Like, so,
Or they could ask for the same stuff.
yeah, and he knows that. So why do you think the whole topic of this thing was win-win? Like, it has to eventually end in a win-win situation. So he did role play a little wrong because he thought she said all. So let's back up to she wants 8.
She wants
Yeah.
And four of them are like real stuff.
Really bad. The other stuff are kind of bad because she already got rid of all the cosmetic.
Right.
So the other 4 are kind of bad and the other 4 are really bad.
Okay, so you're saying
8.
8 things. The first 8, or, because we're not fixing that wall plate.
I already told you, number 801, 802, 803, 804, 805, 6, and 7, and 8.
Okay, 1 through 8. Got it. Okay, let me call my seller. Boom. I'm not gonna call anybody, I'm gonna get some other work done. Maybe like 3 or 4 hours. Okay. So, spoke to my client again, she's very unhappy, but she'll do items 1 through 4 because those are like real relevant items The rest are just cosmetic, easy things that probably maybe you can take care of, you know, give them a little kickback, but at this point, she'll do the first 4, and if not, at that point, I don't know what's gonna happen, so.
That's reasonable.
Okay, let me go back to my buyer and give you a call back. I really cannot answer for them, I know what is important to them, so let me try to see what we can work together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so dear Mr. Juvenal, I tried to renegotiate, and before they agreed yes with one, now I able to get they fix the 4 first items. So, and I take the liberty to call my contractors, my guys, to see what is the cost of the other 4, because you remember how you're gonna take care of the other 4. So this is the amount you're gonna be spending, like around $400 on the repairs. I don't know if you wanna move forward with the deal or what you wanna do. Let me know. I think this is a good deal because the property at the end, it has what you need for you and your family. And exactly on the area that you're looking for. It's gonna be hard for us to find another with a similar amenities that this property offered to your family. So,
So you're calling me?
yeah.
Well, I gotta wait for her to tell me if she's gonna do the
Okay,
4.
so you tell him.
Okay. Hi, Aaron. I got good news for you. Looks that my buyer agreed with the response from the seller.
Okay, perfect, I'll type it up and get it over to you. Go on, I'm sending it out right now so she can sign it while the iron's hot, and I'm gonna call my seller and say, hey, good news. They accepted, and I'm not asking for the 12 anymore. I told them we're just gonna do items 1 through 4. It was-
I don't have to do 7?
You don't have to do 5, you don't have to do 6 or 7.
Wow, I knew I made the right choice in hiring you.
I know you did too. No, I'm
Great job, let's give him a
I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, so he looks like a hero, so does that answer your question, Anna? So, Superman. So we are gonna take about a 5-minute break. We're not gonna take that much longer than that because I wanna end early. That's okay with you guys? So let's take about a 5-minute break for the phone and the bathroom and all that. And I brought everybody donuts and water. Do you guys want some?
Yes.
And then we'll start, actually we'll do about an 8-minute break. We'll start at 11:15. Go now. Thank you.
My rib bone.
I appreciate that.
Calling family and
No, I know it because I
random
feel like
Make the mistake, wait.
my fiance's roommates, cousins,
Lose the deal.
friend.
it's not so weird.
So random.
Thanks. I'm gonna take 3 hours and just waste our time. We're gonna learn. Thank you.
That was good little touchdown.
You're
I think
doing good. You gotta get to each other.
yeah, I think more interactive approach. Specifically going off that.
Do you know what it
I can't. I'm not
Nice.
Smell it.
real life. Real life scenario. So when you guys come back, we're gonna talk about closing, a delayed closing. Closing late.
Oh, why is that?
So, talking about style.
Almost done. What's your name today? See, my team already knows all this stuff. Yeah, I have another one that's generating business, and then I have my, I didn't mean it like that. He just,
He's busy working.
I'm not as important to him. I'm not as important to him as his children. I'm more important to them. So there's a point. That's how that is. Yes.
We're the support.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna caution.
And they're the prettiest. So he's over there. trying to think isn't lead generating, I think we're trying to work out a computer, system issue for us. Okay, and then, my mom is my full-time assistant and transaction coordinator. Thank you, and she's over there. And then them, and then she's gonna be joining us shortly. Do you know where my area is over there? I'll show you.
Like you mentored them.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So I went ahead and called the wire agent and said, you know, what happened to the wire instructor? Well, you know, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out Monday because that's just been so busy with closing some deals, but you don't have to. So I didn't pay with my phone and say, you know what, those instructions were not sent, so we're gonna get them on Monday. So my client said, well, I'm even willing to go into Hatchetfield and take a look to them. So, yeah, they don't, she doesn't have a problem doing that.
Ok, pero si apenas va a tener depósito, lo más probable es que ellos todavía no tengan las instrucciones listas.
Bueno, ellos me mandaron diciendo the disclosures, they sent me the NHD and
Los reportes ya los tienen, pero no han salido las instrucciones.
y también, esa es
Porque a veces no la tienen lista, pero decir, hey, de esta posibilidad que me hay que estar by the instruction, se me dice que está específico.
That was pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
That was cool.
So ella puede ir sola, no puede poder. So le llaman y le pregunto que si pueden llenar todo.
This is you. Do you think that's creepy?
Yes,
Yes, just standing
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm just gonna be
Eso tiene que ver con el
Right, so no me la mandó.
algo no veo de
I was like, oh, oh, bother her. Oh, my goodness, I'm so happy.
Y está con dos agentes que la están, que la tienen.
Come on now. All the time.
For my clients.
Right, okay.
Show my clients.
Pero aparte, pues tú llegas un poquito
I was gonna get Kurt for the help. So I
This is gonna be very
I know, I'm proud.
What'd you do? I had no idea. I was playing with the dog.
Learn anything yet?
I broke my arrow, so I'm like, maybe I. Yeah, maybe, huh? I don't know. How come? Good.
Good, especially when you have experience.
Yeah. Busy. Good. Yeah, good. I saw you were in another class. I'm like, yes, I was, absolutely. These classes take up so
Hey,
much.
you have some experience up there. You can't shy up when I ask you to role play.
Eric is so shy, oh my god.
Let's get stage fright.
He's gonna turn
You
red.
can't be shy as a real estate agent, come on. Go do Toastmasters or something.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my god.
Hey, Christine. Oh, okay.
It's like more like an open discussion.
Oh my, Eric, please go do Toastmasters.
I'm gonna do
Please
way
go do
harder on
Toastmasters.
I
They won't make you talk.
I know you gotta think about it. I know.
I can sit here and be like, okay, you know, like the.
Hey, I said-
That's where I met Brandon.
I know, that's
Really?
perfect. That's like you all say that. I know she has a natural attitude, she's like.
I know, he was asking
That
us.
sounded wrong.
In her hard drive, he's way too hard.
I mean, both ways. Depending on who you're talking to.
You did good.
But something that we didn't discuss when I say something because the property
What?
and my client is concerned about it, I put it on the offer. I don't wait till the home inspection to see the cell
That's
phone.
a good
What's
plan.
up with you?
We'll bring that up. You can do that too.
Yeah, let's say I see a stain on the ceiling, which means maybe it's a leak on the roof. So I request the roof roof certification upfront.
Yep.
So I don't wait for request for repairs to know if they're gonna fix it or not.
And we noticed something, and I was gonna do that, and actually wrote it out. And I sent to Drew just so he can review it, and he had me remove that. He says you shouldn't be asking those things before you're in contract. So I did that.
Well, you have to look at two different ways. She kinda can get away with it because her name's kinda known now, she has more experience, and people kinda know who she is and they'll accept her offer. As a new agent, you should not do that because they'll reject your offer just because they think you're gonna be high maintenance. They think you're gonna ask for a lot,
I
and
had
so they're
already,
gonna
I had
reject your
already
offer.
called the agent and they said for me to put it on there, that was not a problem. And I mentioned that to Drew, he says, no, take it off, he says.
Yeah.
So,
You should not, unless you're got years in real estate, your name is kinda known and they know you're only asking if it isn't. But most of the time you should not, 99% of the time you should not do anything on the offer. But there's certain things, like if you know that there's
I know,
why would you not ask for a roof cert? You're not asking for a repair, you're asking for a roof cert, right? So, you kinda gotta weigh the balances and see how
Deal breaker, what you wanna go to is, you know that they don't.
you know the deal breaker. They're gonna cancel anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, we're gonna start.
No, it's okay.
We're gonna start so we can get out of here early. You guys can go get some business. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about, so you guys know we've done the buyer's consultation recap, right? We've done the buyer's consultation, we've done the seller's listing appointment where we've talked to establish what to expect when you're expecting, right? What to expect when you're buying a house. We've done the writing the offer, negotiating the offer, countering back and forth, we've talked about that. We've talked about request for repairs with the buyer, request for repair with, between the agents. Now we're gonna talk about what nobody wants to talk about, and that's the deals not closing on time.
no.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
I don't wanna believe in.
Yes.
Can we talk about like the discount brokers too? How do they negotiate that with their clients?
What do you mean?
Like, I have a client that I lost, cause,
Oh, your commission?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
awesome, okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
She's like,
I don't know if you guys want me to teach that, because
Yeah.
I don't discount my commission, but we'll get there.
That's good to hear.
Okay, so, we are gonna talk about closing on time, or not closing on time. So this is a real thing, and this is a problem. And I'm gonna tell you that you should always, now, there's a fine line, but you should always try to maintain a good relationship with your agents because of what I said. Because I said that you're probably gonna get into another transaction with them, but also, do you guys not understand profit sharing, and do you not understand that there may be an opportunity eventually to recruit an agent over here and put them under you and you can start making money, right? So don't burn your relationships, okay? But there is nothing more irritating than not closing on time. Nothing more irritating, right? And nobody has control. So what do? When we get angry and we get frustrated, we can't. When our seller calls us and is madder than fire because we're not closing on time, what's the first thing that we do?
Take him back to the consultation.
No, what do we do that we shouldn't do, is what I should say. We call the agent. I'm so mad at you right now. I don't know why we're not closing on time. My seller is yelling at me, my seller's upset with me, I can't even sleep at night, and it's all because of you, right? Right? Because your seller's mad that we're not closing on time. Or your buyer, they're supposed to move in on Friday, they needed that weekend to move in because they work, 100 hours a week, and they don't have any time to move in, and now all because of you, we don't get to move in when we said we were gonna move in. Where does the real problem lie with that?
Giving emotion.
Communication.
Setting the expectation in the beginning. Our COE is not an actual closing date. It's not. That is an estimated closing date. In the buyer's consultation, that's an estimated closing date. When the seller signs the offer, that's an estimated closing date. And you know what I say? We hardly ever close on time. That's just the way it is. I say right in the beginning, because if we close on time, I'm a hero. Oh my God, we closed on the closing date. It really happened this time, right? So I tell my buyers, look, we hardly ever close on time. Things happen, life gets in the way, there's holidays. I mean, things are just not gonna go the way that we expect them to go 99% of the time, and I have no control over it. The things that I have control over, oh, trust me, it'll get done, and we will not be delayed because of me. All the paperwork will be in time because of me. Everything will be done because of me. I'll be calling that lender constantly. I'll be getting updates. But just letting you know that sometimes there's certain things that are completely out of my control. And I'm just telling you right now, count on it not closing in time, just in case. And then if we close on time, great. Set the expectation so that you don't have a miserable 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2-week delay where your seller is calling you constantly or your buyer is calling you. Set the expectation, yes.
Do you ask for 30 or 45 days?
Every
For seeing
scenario
that
is,
problem?
every scenario is different. Sometimes if I'm a listing agent and I have multiple offers and I already said that I wanted a 30-day escrow and you send me a 45-day escrow, that's not gonna help me accept your offer, right? You should send me a 30-day or I'm gonna counter you back and tell you I want a 30-day. So every scenario is different. If it's FHA or if it's USDA and the lender's saying I need at least 35 days to close or 40 days, whatever, then I always, if I'm representing the buyer, let the lender dictate that. There's so many different scenarios, it's very hard for me to answer that question directly, but I don't ever over ask to protect I don't set that expectation because do you understand that if you give 45, then to the lender he has 45 days.
Right.
To the seller he has 45 days to move his crap. So no, 30 is what we do. And I'm telling you that even though it's a 30-day, we may go over. I'd rather go over 3 days on a 30-day than to go 3 days over on a 45-day because I didn't accept the expectation. I want my lender to know you better close this deal in 30 days. I want, the buyer's lender to know you better close this deal in 30 days, right? So you set the expectation with the seller and you set, or with your buyer. Set the expectation in the beginning. Then you negotiate. You cannot negotiate on something that you never even mentioned. You can't do that, that's not fair. You can't go back and say, remember I told you that this is just an estimated closing date. And I don't care if you have the most bombastic lender, like I do, or I don't care who you have. In life, things happen, right? There's things that is literally sometimes out of the lender's control, okay? For me, my lender is my husband. So if a deal doesn't go good, we go home with each other, right? So
You take it for a drink first.
yeah. So the problem is that I already know, I had the comfort in knowing that he's absolutely doing everything that he can do because obviously it's his pocketbook and mine. So I would be dumb to think he's not working on the deal. But there's many times that I have to work with other lenders when I'm the listing agent that's not my husband and I'm convinced that they're not doing anything to make this deal close on time, right? But there's some things that are out of our control. When my husband meets with a client, he sets the expectation. Do not open more credit cards. Do not go buy a car. Do not, right? We were in an escrow about a year and a half ago, and I was in escrow with a very high top producing agent, and my buyer went and bought a car.
Oh, wow.
Knowing that they shouldn't buy a car, barely qualified, first time home buyers, getting the down payment assistance for what in God's name possessed them to buy a car? I have no idea. And I didn't want to lose the deal. And my husband didn't want to lose the deal. So guess what we just did? We just kept delaying escrow, because what my husband found a solution, and that was for them to go refinance their car at a credit union. And it was going to bring down their payment by like $70-something, and they would still qualify. So he had to buy himself enough time to let them go refinance the car, let it report on their credit again, and then keep the deal. So my attitude was, okay, look, you can give us, another 2 or 3 weeks, or you can cancel and go open escrow again. And it was in a bad area. I knew she wouldn't get into escrow again. I wouldn't have done that if I knew that she would be able to sell it again. But it was on the market a long time. It was in a bad area. I knew that if we canceled, I would have this whole thing solved before she even got the home in escrow again. So my attitude was like, do you want to wait this out? Like, do you want to give me time? Because we need time. yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna give you 2 weeks. Well, after 2 weeks, it wasn't done. So I had to delay again, That escrow turned it into a 92-day escrow. But it got done. and honestly, she didn't care. She was amazing. It was not a big deal because she knew she wasn't gonna be able to sell it without anyways,
That was a
because,
blessing.
you know,
Yeah.
it was, we had it in escrow and she, but the good thing for her is she already set the expectation with her seller. Her seller wasn't calling her every day. Her seller had trust in her and she knew they would eventually close. My buyer didn't dare talk to me about not closing on time because it was their fault, right? So some things literally, don't be so hard on your lender because some things are literally out of their control, right? And understand where your seller's coming from. This is their livelihood. They're ready to move. They're ready to go to Dallas, Texas, and you're not letting them because you're not closing, right? So you have to have a little sympathy, but if you set the expectation in the beginning, it makes your life so much
Kind of
easier.
avoid all this.
Right. So a lot of times as agents, what we do is we go put out the fires instead of stopping the fires from ever starting,
Prevent that.
right? So there's a lot that we could prevent if we just took our time and did our job. And the great thing about it is when you are on a team and you have a team leader, they put a lot of the fires for you or they prevent them from starting in the beginning. But when you're an independent agent, you're on your own. You're on your own. And there's things that nobody taught you. And there's things that nobody told you and you didn't know. And sometimes you actually start the fire yourself. And then you gotta go put out your own fire, right?
Yeah.
So set the expectation in the beginning. Say that I'm telling you this is just an estimated closing date. We probably won't close on time. And then you don't open escrow and walk away. Do you know how many agents just open escrow and walk away? Like, this escrow is not gonna close itself.
Right.
As a listing agent, shame on you if you're not tagging in with that lender once a week. Did you know as a listing agent, you can call that buyer's lender, whether you're representing the buyer or not?
Yeah.
Hey, build a good relationship. Don't be one of those don't be the listing agent who calls every day and doesn't even let the poor lender work. Like, do you want me to close your file? Let me work on your file. I can talk to you every day if you ask for weekly updates. That's okay. That's normal. Don't call every day. How's the deal going? How's the deal going? Well, if you'd let me work, I could get your deal closed, right? So don't be one of those, but once a week it's okay to send an email, send a text or call. Be nicer to avoid calling. Send an email or a text and say, hey, are we on track? Is everything good? Is there anything that I should be worried about? Just be honest with me. Yes.
In that area, I called them when we open escrow, and the first question I ask is when you planning to order the appraisal.
Perfect.
And if they say, okay, by Monday, if I don't get a call from the appraisal on Tuesday or Wednesday, I call them again. I didn't hear from the appraisal, the appraisal is been ordered. So when the appraisal is done, and then the second time I call them is to see when we expect to have the conditional approval. So when they give me the time that they expected to have the conditional approval, I call them to make sure that we have the conditional approval, and I ask them, when you plan to order the CD? So I contacted 2 or 3 times through the transaction.
Perfect. Now, I don't do it exactly the way that she does. She asks them, I don't ask them, I tell them.
I like your son.
Because I'm not gonna let you dictate when we close. So what I do on a counter, if you ever write an offer on me, just know you're gonna get a counter. It doesn't matter what you write, I'm gonna counter you on contingencies. So what I do as a listing agent. Because I want to speed up this drama with the appraisal and the home inspection, and I want to get all that out of the way. And if you're smart, you're going to take my counter because it helps you too. Less chance of your buyer canceling all the way down to the 17th day. So I counter all of your home inspections. I mean, your home inspection and any other inspections have to be done within day 10. By day 15, the appraiser has to be in. By day 17 is loan contingencies. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. Normally is inspection 17-day, loan is 21. I don't want to cancel on the 21st day. If you're going to cancel, be gone and within the 15 days so I can get it back on the market. So 10 days, I say you're going to get your home inspection done. And then I tell the buyer's agent, when I send the counter, you need to call your lender and you need to make sure your lender can get me the appraisal within 15 days. Every lender can. If they tell you they can't, they're liars. And they say, oh, it's VA, it's gonna take, 18 days to get the, no, it took you 18 days to order the appraisal. That's just a lie, that's just because they're so busy. No, you want my deal, you want the loan, you get me that appraisal within 15 days, period, right? And then 17, you better have that full loan approval by day 17 and remove it, okay? So by day 10, we're in escrow. I set the expectation. So we've already established that I set the expectations with the clients, right? Now I'm setting the expectations with you as the listing agent. As the buyer's agent. I'm setting, day 10, I don't care if you wanted to go to Hawaii and you're coming back on day 10 and want to do the home inspection. I don't care. You knew, it's not like I said on day 10, hey, even though you have 7 more days left, do you think you can give me that home inspection over? That's not what I did. From the beginning, I said that I want your home inspection done and in by day 10. And you didn't do it. So what's the next thing? What do I do at that point?
And
Notice for perform.
Notice to perform. And do I send the notice to perform on day 10 or on day 11? I send on day 9. I send the day before, just in case. Just in case you don't want to perform on day 10, it's in your email. Right? Right. Because do your job as an agent. Don't represent your client and then go to Hawaii. Like, I don't care if you're in Hawaii. Like, I'm not in Hawaii. I'm here. Right? So set the expectation and then negotiate. Right? And if you call me and say, hey, look, I had a family emergency. Someone died in my family. Can you give me a couple of days? Am I going to say, no? No. Okay, I understand if someone died in your family. It's a good excuse. I'll give you 2 more days, right? Like sometimes things happen. Now they could be lying. Hopefully they're not lying about someone dying in their family, but if they are, that's on them. Okay, I understand. I'm so sorry for your loss. I probably will end up getting an escrow again, so okay, I'm gonna give you 2 more days. But after 2 days, and you don't perform, am I sending another notice to perform, or am I sending in cancel?
Cancel.
Because you're not performing, and I've got to get this back on the market. By day 10 or day 12, I've got to get this back on the market. I've got to do what the seller deserves, right? So if you're already on day 10 and you're not performing, I don't even want to get to day 15 and see that your lender's not performing, and I certainly don't want to get to day 17 and see that they're not performing, right? Now, say that we're on day 17 and the lender calls me and says, we have a problem. I don't have full loan approval and I need a couple more days. Nothing irks me more, because you knew good and well at day 10 that you weren't going to have an approval on day 17. Why didn't you come to me on day 10 and be honest with me and say, hey, look, I've got some issues. I'm going to need an extension of contingencies. Can you extend my contingencies? Thank you for your honesty. Yes, we will extend your contingencies. I will call the seller. Hey, remember, I told you that sometimes things happen. We need to give the lender a couple more days. How do you feel about that? Are you okay with that? Okay, yeah, we don't want to lose a deal over this. Okay, yeah, so let's give them the extension. But don't, and then as an agent, don't call me on day 15 or on day 10 and say, I need an extension because I'm in Hawaii. Well, did you know 5 weeks ago that you were going to be in Hawaii? Mm-hmm. Why did you agree to day 10 on the offer if you knew you were going to be in Hawaii that day? Right? Why did you sign the counter? Why didn't you counter me back and say, actually, I need to leave it at 17 days because I'm going to be in Hawaii? Okay, understood. I'll take your counter. Right? But you're not negotiating from the front. You're being shady, and then I have to work with that? No. Honesty is always the best route to go. Yes.
So the normal days for the lender is 17?
21. And inspections are 17. And I just happen to be one of those that reduce contingencies so that we can just get past all of the hard part. And it's smart. Yeah. So by day 17, everybody, all of us, you and me, are cruising. Everything's done, and we're just waiting for the lender at that point. All of our paperwork's in. Only thing we're waiting on is the final walkthrough, and we get smooth selling for the next, and we can go get more business, and we don't have to sit here and sweat for the next 17 days on what needs to be done, right? I don't care if it's a 45-day escrow. I don't care if it's a 90-day escrow. Day 10, you better have your home inspection done. There's no excuse. Why can't you take your buyer on the 3rd day of opening escrow and go take them to get their home inspection after they're done with their home inspection, or day 1? Like, I don't care, but there's really no excuse. This is your job. This is your full-time job. Do it and do it right, right? And so my team is, then when they represent buyers, they jump on it, they book their home, as soon as their offer gets accepted, they call their home inspector and say, hey, can we get our home inspection? And on a side note, when they were role playing, I was gonna mention this, don't ever tell your buyer that they have to use your home inspector, don't ever do that. You give them 3 names and you let them choose who they want to use, or you just say, I have a home inspector, you don't have to use them, if you wanna find your own, you're more than welcome, but if you wanna use mine, you can. My team doesn't give them 3 names, we just tell them to pick their own. If they ask for 3 names, we'll give it. If they don't wanna pick their own, we use ours. But don't ever tell them they have to use their own inspector, because then when the home inspector doesn't catch everything and then they close and they hate your home inspector, they hate you. So don't do that, right? So that was just a side note. So back to what I was saying, set the expectation. So I set the expectation for the lender, I set the expectation for the agent, and of course the buyer and seller, okay? And then, yes,
How long does the inspection process take?
home inspection?
Yeah,
It depends on your home inspector. Ours gets it done, what, hour and a half? 2 hours?
so you
Depends on how good they
recommend to do that call them within the 3 days, the 4 days?
So you guys wanna know how my team does it? The day that their offer is accepted, they better get on the phone with that home inspector and they better get that appointment booked. Because you cannot dictate your home inspector's schedule,
Right,
right? And
Yeah.
if you have a good home inspector, he's busy,
right.
right? So you get on the phone with him and he might say, hey, I can't do it for a week. That's fine, it's still within our 10-day window, that's fine, right? If he says, I can't do it until day 14, you better go find yourself another home inspector, right? So as soon as you get your offer accepted, call the home inspector, make the appointment, and go do the home inspection. Okay, now, I don't know what your coach teaches you, if you're in coaching, or if you're team leader, so disregard this if they teach you something different, but with me, what I teach is that I do not let my clients go with the home inspector while he's doing the home inspection. Nothing is more irritating for a home inspector, because they're trying to go and do their whole inspection, and this client's like, well, what do you think about that? Do you think that's okay? Well, I'm not coming, and so the home inspector, right, okay,
You mean with you're talking about a seller?
with the buyer,
Oh,
let me
buyer.
finish, yeah. So the whole time that the home inspector is in there, trying to do the home inspection, they're talking to him. Do you think maybe it's gonna take longer?
Yeah,
Do you think maybe the home inspector is gonna miss stuff?
it's a distraction.
He's gonna miss stuff because you wouldn't shut up long enough to let him work, right? So what I do is my buyer meets at the end, okay? The buyer should always meet with the home inspector, but I have him meet at the end. Let the home inspector have time to get his stuff done first. If the home inspector says I'm gonna be there at 1, I do not tell the clients to be there at 1. Right? I go at 1, I meet the home inspector, I do my visual inspection while the home inspector is doing his stuff, walk through, get all my stuff done, then I stay out of the home inspector's way. I don't follow the home inspector either. What about this? What about that? No, I sit down, I put on my phone, do whatever, do my bills, whatever I have to do, and then I tell the client, and then I always know, some clients, they always run late. Some clients, they always run early, right? So if you've already figured that out, if you have a client that's running late and you want them there at 2, tell them 1:45, be considerate of the home inspector's time, right? If they run early, tell them 2:15 so you know they're gonna be there at 2. Okay, give the home inspector at least an hour to get his stuff done first. Then they come. I don't talk when they come. Am I the home inspector? Maybe before they got there, the home inspector's like, dude, there's like bad problems with such and such. Right when the client walks in and say, do you know that there are all these problems? No, that's not my job. Why am I paying this home inspector what I'm paying him? I just stand there. They come in and the home inspector talks with them. Make sure you have a good home inspector. Make sure he doesn't miss things. Make sure he does his due diligence. Make sure he's a good home inspector, but make sure that he's also not a drama king and get your client so worked up that you lose a deal over it.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a home inspector that's a deal killer. Nothing worse, okay? I was, in like 2008, 2009, I have somebody say, oh, I thought the best home inspector, you should try him. I'm like, okay, I'm not trying.
Full story.
And it was such a nightmare. Oh my God.
Who was it?
I can't say. I don't like to drop names, no. No, I don't even think he works anymore, up here, no. I just don't wanna be a name dropper like that.
Well,
Because,
everyone
you know,
check it
maybe
out.
he was a good home inspector for everybody else, and I don't wanna say, I don't even do that about lenders. Like, if I had a bad experience with a lender, I don't go and tell everybody, oh my God, he was the worst lender, because maybe it was just that particular transaction, you know? So I don't wanna do that, but he was bad, and he was, you guys are not gonna believe this, his home inspection report was 123 pages long.
What?
Wow. Somebody praised it, right?
Oh my goodness.
No, the inspector. 123 pages. And there was not even that much stuff wrong with the home. He took pictures of scuffs on the walls. He took, like, it was bad. He even took pictures, like, one of the walls was like a little, not completely level, like barely. And so he put his level up there and took a picture that the wall was, like, it was bad, yeah. And killed my deal. So don't do that, like, don't hire a deal killer, right? So I let them come in, I let the home inspector introduce himself, hey, I've had X amount of experience as a home inspector. I have, you know, contractors, like, whatever they wanna do to vet themselves. And then he says, okay, so everything looked good, except, and then he goes into what he found, his findings. Is his report ready right then? No. So he does a summary. In my buyer's consultation, we set that expectation. When you go to the home inspection appointment, you're not gonna have the report right then. You're gonna meet him at the end, he's gonna give you a summary, and then we're gonna go over the home inspection together. Set the expectation, right? So my home inspector says 24 to 48 hours it takes to get the home inspection report. That's not unreasonable. If it's after 48 hours, then I get mad, and then that's unreasonable, right? So they meet with the client pays. My time is more valuable than me to run around, go get the money from the buyer, go give it to the home inspector. No, I'm not doing all of that, right? You come, you pay the home inspector. Now, there is some instances where my buyers commute, they're out of town, and they have no desire to meet the home inspector. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working on my client's behalf, right? I can tell them, okay, when I meet with the home inspector, he's gonna call you for your credit card. Or, hey, can you drop off a check at my office so that when I go meet the home inspector, I can take that check with me, right? I'm not gonna go meet you and get your money, you can give me the money and then I'll give it to the home inspector, right? Set the expectations at the beginning. So if the buyer can't meet, I can say, well, when the home inspector's done, do you want us to call you and he can give you the summary over the phone? Oh, that would be great, okay. No, I'm not gonna be available, I don't even wanna talk on the phone, I just don't have time right now. No problem, we'll handle it later, right? Get the home inspection. When I get the home inspection, what do I do with it? Do I just email it over to the client and say, give me a call?
Go over it.
You call them in here. And here's another clue. So in a transaction, you have disclosures that you have to go over with your buyer. You have termite inspection that you have to go over with your buyer. You have home inspection that you have to go over with your buyer. What else? NHD that you need to go over with your buyer. And maybe escrow papers they might need help with, right? You want to meet your client 5 times through a transaction to do all that? No. And if your buyer is an experienced buyer and doesn't really care about going over the disclosures, you probably could email them to him and let him sign them and get them back. But if they're a first-time home buyer, you owe it to your buyer to bring them in here and sit down with them and go over everything with them. So my team, we don't bring in our buyer till we have everything. Okay? We wait for everything to come in. And then we book an hour appointment. And we go over everything. And I use an escrow company, if I get to choose, that will go over the escrow package with my buyer. That's their job. Okay? So if it's here and I'm using OnTrack, which we use OnTrack, if I have done my hour appointment and I'm all done with everything, then I send them over to escrow and I say, have them help you with that packet because they know it better than me because it's their papers. not that I don't wanna go over it with you, it's just not my, I don't know their stuff. And why should I have to go and fill out all their paperwork for them when they get paid to do it, right? Or, hey, you know what I'll do is I'll call your escrow company and I'll make an appointment for you, and then you can head over there, right? Because that's their job. Don't do somebody else's job, you're too busy, okay? So save up your time, set an hour appointment and hit it all. And then if it's bad news, at least you got it all done and out of the way all in one shot, right? Right? So you do termite, you do an HD, you go through the whole thing. Sign, boom. Okay, and you've taken time and you've explained, and what's an earthquake fault line? What's this? What's that? You guys should know your stuff. If you're not learning your disclosures, you find a mentor and have them teach you. You don't want to BS your client and be like, oh, that's not important. Like, you know, you're saying it's not important because you don't know it. That's not good, right?
So you're not gonna go over the home inspection first with them, you're gonna wait for all the things at once?
That's why I reduce contingencies, is so that I have everything in time. And as a listing agent, I order my termite right away. Right away, I have that in. Home inspection within 10 days. And what else are we delaying? What are we waiting on? Everything else is in. No, appraisal, I don't go over with my clients. The lender goes over that with them. I don't do that. Your disclosure, the listing agent? 7 days, it max to have you all the disclosures. They're supposed to have all the disclosures to you within 7 days. So do you understand, by day 10, I should have everything that I need by day 10. And I wanna get it out of the way, I wanna move on to my next transaction, right?
So are you giving the buyers the home inspection form before you see them so they could review it?
No, I don't.
So you're gonna wait at the end to show them all
not at
those
the end.
things? What if that's the deal breaker and they went ahead and paid for the appraisal then too?
You have to understand that they're paying for their if they have a good lender, they're paying their appraisal day one. That lender should be ordering that appraisal right away. Right away.
Right.
And I'm
Okay.
sorry that you
Yeah.
invested $450 on an appraisal and $350 on a home inspection, but I set that expectation with you at the beginning, and if we have to get into another home over it, you have to pay that stuff again. I'm really sorry that that's the way it is, but that's your choice, right? And you have to also understand that you're locking your client in. If it's a good home and they're just getting, cold feet for no reason, okay, you wanna change homes and lose your $1,000, I'm okay with that. Right? Sometimes they get cold feet for absolutely no reason. So why wouldn't you want, another thing that I have a hard time understanding is a lot of buyers agents don't get their buyer's deposit in on time. Why would you not want your buyer committed? Right? They have 3 days to have their deposit in. Why would you not want your buyer to get that deposit in? So they're gonna call you on like day 3 and say, I found this home over there and it looks way nicer than my home. Can I go see it? There will always, always, always be a nicer home. You understand that, right? Doesn't matter if you get them the best home, they will always find a nicer home. And on a side note, if you have them on what's it called, a portal for the MLS, and you got them in escrow, you need to take them off that portal. Don't let them keep looking at homes, right? So get their deposit in and set that expectation at the buyer's consultation. Look, you've got 3 days to get your deposit in, right? So yes, it's unfortunate, but you are correct. If they have a good lender, they'll pay for that appraisal up front. Yes, I'm sorry that they paid for their home inspection, but that's that,
But
right?
they gotta start somewhere and do something.
And they gotta commit. So, and everything else we bring in, we go over everything. And you know what's really frustrating is when you're working with a listing agent and they don't get you the disclosures. It's really frustrating because you're ready. You're ready to have your hour appointment. You're ready to go over everything. And sometimes everything looked good on the home inspection. Everything looked good on the NHD. Everything looked good on the termite. And they were late getting the disclosures and someone died on the property. Deal breaker. They never disclosed it on the MLS like they should have. They never told me like they should have. I go through all of this stuff and I say, oh, we're going to disclose. Somebody died 2 years ago on the property. Oh, some people have that feng shui and that's it. They're not going to buy that home. No matter if you give it to them for free, they wouldn't live there. And that's your fault because you did not give me those disclosures in enough time, right? So day 1, my transaction coordinator is please send disclosures. No disclosures. Day 2, please send disclosures. No disclosures. Day 3, please send disclosures. We're chasing those because we want them when I want my hour meeting and I want to get everything out of the way. I want to be done, right?
Yeah.
Little things will show up here and there, an extra form, or, you know, if the home is in a trust and nobody's sent it in ahead of time, you know, little things like that, but do it right. If you're gonna do something, do it right. Don't do it halfway, right? Any questions on that? Anything you wanna share? Any experiences, anything?
As you mentioned, on the home inspection, how I handle the home inspection is I always tell my client that the inspector gonna do his work and we're gonna set apart, and I'm gonna use the time to go over the disclosures. So normally, I do my inspection on the day 10, and I ask the listening to provide me all the disclosures upfront because I wanted to have it ready. So I use the time during the inspection to go over the disclosure with my buyers.
You can do that too, that's a great idea. Your ultimate goal is to save you time, be organized, and get everything out of the way. So if you wanna go over disclosures with them, you can, but then you also have other things that you may not have in yet. You may not have your termite in, you may not have your NHD report in, I mean, there might be other things that you don't have in. So everybody has their own style, and her style is not wrong, or she's not better than me, vice versa. Everybody has their own style. I'm just sharing with you what works for me. I like to get it all done and boom, out of the way. And sometimes too, if you have a first-time home buyer, especially if you're on a team, they're going over stuff with them in the office and they run into a big issue and they need their team leader there. I'm not gonna go all the way over to the house and make a big deal and, you know, try to inconvenience the seller. And the problem sometimes too is going over disclosures in the home. Every seller should leave and give the buyer privacy, but you can't force them. So if the seller doesn't want to leave, you should not be going over disclosures in front of the seller, right? So every situation, every scenario is different. But if my agents are here and they have a problem when they're going over something, or maybe they don't understand something, even though they have experience, maybe something new showed up, call me, I can run over to the conference room and I can say, hey, you know, this is what this means. Or sometimes I won't know, and I'll say, you know, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. And then I have resources here that I can go to, right? So that's just the way that I do it. But you wanna set those expectations, you wanna tell your clients what to expect, and then go from there.
So you say you do disclosures when all the inspections come in, you have your 1 hour?
I do everything at once.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what you do.
And we're gonna end here in about 10-15 minutes. Any other things you guys wanna add, or talk about?
When I'm talking to the agent, if I send an offer or a counter and I feel they're not really involving their client and just trying to negotiate for them without even talking to them, sometimes I'll tell them, put it in writing, because then it'll come back different, because it's too much verbal negotiating.
That's great, you can do that too. Sometimes though, there's no reason to put things on paper, like we're going back and forth, don't make your agent your enemy. Don't make your agent your enemy, even though you should always put your buyer and your seller first. That is your due, that's what you have to do, right? But I don't wanna have an enemy here in this office, and I don't want us to have a bad transaction, and then you're going this way and I go all the way around that way to avoid you, that's bad, okay? So don't make an enemy, but if you know they're BSing you, put it in writing. Put it in writing. And do you also know that you think you have a liar that's saying they have multiple offers, and or situations like, okay, so I sent an offer and I knew it was a good offer. I knew it was a good offer, right? And they said the seller rejected it. You know that they're supposed to send you the rejection page initialed by the seller.
So you can request that, right?
You shouldn't even have to request it, but yes, you can request it. You shouldn't have to, but they won't do it. Yeah, but you can, yes, you can request it, and you should. Because there's sometimes that unfortunately there is liars in this business, and yes, you can request for that, right? So there's that. Okay, so what we're gonna finish talking about is not closing on time, okay? So what do you do in a situation like that? So for an example, one of my last deals, I was the listing agent and there was a home in California City. And we already knew that canceling was not gonna really be an option because we would probably take a long time to get it in escrow. average turn time to get homes in California City in escrow are like 254 something like that days.
Really?
I got the home in escrow in 7 days in California City.
Wow.
But I really didn't want it to fall out of escrow because there was no guarantee that we could get back into escrow within 7 days. That was a miracle. I don't know what happened, but that was a miracle. So, what do you do in a situation like that? So we're day 10, they don't perform, send a notice to perform. You send it, threaten to cancel. Day 15, they don't perform. Day 17, they don't perform. It's the worst nightmare ever. It was a KW agent, not here, but another KW agent. And they were horrible. They were unreasonable. She was very, very old, very set in her ways. She didn't even know how to do e-signature. And every time I would call, it would be like, I've been in this business for 35 years. Right? I don't care.
Wow.
I don't care. And on a side note, your experience does not come with years.
And you're acting like this?
But
and
your
you don't know
experience,
it.
yeah, but
You
your
don't-
experience in real estate does not come from years. Where do your experiences come from?
Experience.
Close sales.
Transactions. You are not an experienced agent if you don't have transactions.
True.
So Brandon, if he's closed 20 in 2 years, and I've closed 20 in 20, who has more experience?
Oh,
Hey.
Brandon. If Brandon's closed 18 in 2 years and I've closed 20 in 20 years, who has more experience? Why?
Because things change.
Yeah.
It's up to them.
Fresher, right? More recent, up with technology, more, like, I don't care if you're ancient. Like, I don't care. I hate that. You know how many times, I hate that, and I don't ever say that. I don't call and say, I've been licensed in 2007. I say, I just closed 78 deals. That's what I say,
Right.
right? Because, no, you closed 3, I closed 78, now you wanna talk, right? It doesn't matter how many years you've been in business, right? So this agent had her preferred lender, I think they were in some, I don't know, relationship or something. And very adamant, like, I'm an experienced and I've never lost a deal with him, which I know is a lie. And, I had, 35 years of experience, and I can see that you've only been licensed in 2007, and you just need to, like, totally trying to manipulate, control, and I am in a transaction where my people are military orders, and they gotta go.
Oh, wow.
And this transaction is now delayed 2 weeks. And I can't get the lender on the phone. I tried from day one to get the lender on the phone. And I kept asking the seller, look, I'm not having a good experience with the lender. I don't feel good about this transaction. Even though I don't want to cancel, we need to really talk about this. No, they were so afraid to cancel because they had military orders. And it wasn't fair, but the buyer really had them by the, because they really needed to leave, right? So nothing I couldn't do, I could not get anywhere. I never had been more frustrated with a transaction than I had been with it. I could not get anywhere with those people. And she's a good producer. She has a partner, but not enough to be so haughty. Like there's that, there's a scripture in the Bible for a reason. Pride cometh before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. You're gonna act like you're so much better than everybody else. You're gonna fall on your face, right?
Yep.
You don't do that. Like, let's work it out. Let's have a good relationship. Let's be win-win. I'm not any better than you. You're not any better than me. There's such thing as nightmare transactions. Just tell me what's going on. Is there hope to close?
Right.
Can your lender please at least give me a call, right? Can't get anywhere, get the team leader involved here, call the lender, he cusses me out.
Ooh.
Yeah, cusses me out in crazy style. Like, it was just, it was the worst.
Now, which lender was that?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
So, to the point he was so angry, and I kept interrupting him because I didn't want to hear him cussing, that he told me he was gonna slap me. So, like, it was so bad. Like, I had never in all my, and this is recent, I had never in all my years ever experienced something so bad, so bad. And so finally I convinced the seller. I said, look, I don't think this is gonna close. There's nothing we can do. I don't know this is gonna close. Mind you, we had kept extending because they kept saying, oh yeah, we're gonna get docs. Oh yeah, we're gonna get docs. Oh yeah, we're gonna get docs. they wouldn't send the full loan approval, I had every manager involved, I had Amy, I had Sam, and we just could not get anywhere. So I found, we need to cancel, we have to cancel, this has to, there's no hope. I'll do whatever I need to do, I'll do open houses, I'll get it back on the market, you know me, I'll do it. So I call the agent and she says, oh, from now on, I'm not speaking to you on the phone. You can only communicate with me through email and you have to CC your broker on everything.
Wow.
So that's how we had to communicate. And then I tell her, look, if it's not done by this day, we are gonna cancel. We are going to cancel. And so I sent the cancellation over. They wouldn't sign it.
Wow.
They wouldn't even sign it. I had already, I had
Oh,
like
she's like,
25 notice different forms, yeah, we have like a book. So so we sent the cancel, they wouldn't, sign it. So what I did was I put it back on the market, subject to cancellation, because they wouldn't sign it, they wouldn't even cancel. It was so bad. And so, literally, it ended up being a 72-day escrow on a 30-day escrow.
wow.
Oh my goodness.
And we ended up finally closing because I had gotten it back up on the market and had been on the market for like 3 days and I got another offer. And I went to the seller and it wasn't as good as the first one. I can't remember, I think it was, I don't know, like $5,000 less or something. I said, we can open escrow, but we're still in contract with them, right? And they won't sign the cancellation, so and they didn't even care because they only had $1,000 in escrow, and it was just bad. It was just bad all the way around. So, you guys want to take this offer or not? And literally the same day, the lender sends a full loan approval and says he's going to have docs the next day. I didn't believe that he was going to have docs the next day, but the sellers did. So they didn't want to take that offer. So then we were delayed like another 2 weeks. It was just the worst nightmare ever. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, if that agent ever writes on another one of my properties, I will go straight to that seller and I say, this is an agent, you do not want to accept the offer. Is that fair to the client?
No.
But I'm telling you, as God is my witness, I will tell my seller, this is not somebody we want to work with. So you guys do not want to get that reputation. If that agent from the beginning would have had that lender call me, if that agent from the beginning would have said, hey, we have an issue, I'm gonna need more time. No problem, no problem, let's do it, let's give you more time. Have the lender call me, have them explain what's going on, and that's okay. I'll give you more time. But telling me every day, oh, it's gonna close, oh, it's gonna close, oh, we're fine, everything's good, and you're lying, 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 and we don't close, that's not fair. So escrows won't always close on time. Things will happen, but have an open line, like she said, I think 2 or 3 times already, an open line of communication.
Yes.
Right? And be honest and say, look, I need more time because this is what's going on. And have your lender be honest. A lot of lenders don't want to say what's going on because they feel like it will reflect on them. But have an honest lender and set the expectations so that if you don't close on time, you can relay that to the seller. Now with that deal, I set the expectations with my seller, and my seller was still very angry at me. They could not process in their head that I didn't have control. I had already gotten all of the people involved. I had done everything that I could do, but I literally could not. I can't walk over there and say, sign that cancellation. Like what do I do, right? So there's gonna be times in your career it's very frustrating and it all works out, but you've ruined that relationship now because you did not be honest up front, and you don't know. Do you see your buyer's financials? No, right? And you guys are gonna run into where a lender pre-qualifies them and they're really not even qualified, right? They never really took their paperwork, they never, they just pre-qualified them, they didn't pre-approve them, probably didn't even look at them. Some lenders, the buyer will call and say, I make $3,500 a month and I've been on my job 2 years, okay, cool. Do you have any debt? No, okay, well go tell them you can buy a home for $350,000. They don't even collect the paperwork. They don't collect the paperwork until you're in escrow, and then oops. And to a lender, it's just an oops, and to you, it's like, I got it with my paycheck, right?
Antonette, you didn't cross-qualify them with your husband?
Sometimes I do, not always.
So
Just depends.
that would have been smart to do it this time?
Oh, no, my California City, I did pre-qualify with my husband, yeah, I did. But there was an issue with the buyer that I can't really disclose, and it would have been okay if they would have told me. I would have understood and we would have been okay, but they wouldn't communicate, they wouldn't tell us, they wouldn't, do anything like that. So I did cross-qualify. Every situation is different, and if I call the lender and he's immediately responsive or calls me back, and he right up front says, oh yeah, they're good, this is this, and I did this, and I collected this, and I already got their VO, their verification of employment, everything looks good, I've worked with these clients before, I'm not gonna make that lender go through all this trouble of cross-qualifying with my husband just because I think that my husband's better. Like, that's not fair, right? But if I call a lender and he hasn't called back, or he finally calls back and I'm like, hey, so-and-so just who? So-and-so just let me check on that. They don't even know the client. They don't even remember the client. They probably didn't even collect paperwork, right? So a lot of times you can kind of know from talking if it's something you should do, if you should cross-verify or not. Yeah, that's always safer, but it's also a lot on your lender. If you're the type of agent who wants your lender to cross-qualify everybody, it's not really fair to your lender because they're doing all of this extra work for you and they're cross-qualifying all these people and they're not even getting the business, right?
Right.
And so I'm not gonna make my husband just constantly do cross-verifications just because I wanna have a security blanket. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So there's certain times I do, yeah. But on that one I did and it did not help whatsoever. So that's just the way it is. So set the expectations and know in your mind sometimes things will close on times and sometimes they won't. And when you finally do close, especially on a hard deal, for some reason that check means more. The harder the deal, when you finally get your check, it means more. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the class. If you need anything from me, if you have any questions for me, you guys are more than welcome to contact me. And I have some business cards here if you guys want to take my.
Yes.
My
This right here, do you give to
Thank you
buyers
for
and
coming.
sellers? And are these for free from the title?
Yeah, if you use it.
If you use them, yeah, okay.
No, he hasn't.
You can keep it. Right. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That was an awesome class.
Thank you.
Me too, let me know one too.
You need papers? They're up there. You guys need more paper?
I know.
I'm ancient on this part. I should update my paper.